Hey, everybody, welcome to the live stream. Tonight, we're talking about the do's and the do nots of kitchen design. So, if you are thinking about renovating your kitchen or planning to build a new home with a kitchen in it, or want to do some upgrades to your current kitchen the way it is, here's some things tonight: 10 do's and 10 don'ts that will definitely help you along the way. We'll go through these now. We'll get started. And if you're jumping in from wherever you're at, please say hi. And of course, um, let me know where you're watching from. Okay, let's go. All right, so let's start with the do's. We'll do 10 do's, then we'll do 10 don'ts, and we'll explain these as we go tonight. So if you're planning a kitchen, this is the things you want to think about. So, number one do is this: plan for sufficient storage. Ensure there's ample cabinet and pantry space to accommodate kitchen essentials, appliances, and food items. So, obviously, the number one thing I usually talk to clients about is planning out storage capacity for your kitchen. And that means going through the things that you own and the things that you have for your kitchen, the things that you use, and maybe the things that you plan on using, measuring those things, maybe sometimes weighing those things to see how much they weigh for, shelf capacities and whatnot, and allowing yourself room for ample storage within your kitchen when you're doing a renovation. One of the things you do not want to do is get into your new kitchen and then realize that, where am I going to put this or that or the other thing, because I didn't properly plan it through. It's not just enough to say, hey, let's just put enough drawers in here to store everything. Maybe there's a better solution for some items in your kitchen that you'd want to think through. So when you're planning your kitchen renovation, make sure that you plan out your storage appropriately. This is everything from pantry cabinets to base cabinets to even corner bases. If you want to have one of those, then make sure it is very well planned out and thought of what is actually going to go in those things. Now, of course, times change. You don't use specific things anymore. You have new things that you buy. And of course, the kitchen changes with you over time. But to the best of your ability, in the planning phases with your designer, your builder, whomever you're working with, do your best to really plan out storage in your kitchen, so that you can cover all the bases possible. No matter if you have a large kitchen or a small kitchen, this is applicable. And it's important to do it, especially if you have a smaller kitchen, because you just have smaller square footage to deal with. But it's a really important step and shouldn't be left to just the designer to figure out, or the builder. And it should definitely not be left till you just move into that kitchen and then start putting things in there. And then it's too late. So we want to make sure we avoid that. Plan. That's a big do, a big do is to plan for sufficient storage. All right, so just ensure, and you will be fine. You just cover all the bases. I think you get the drift. Let's do the next do. Prioritize functionality. Well, that's the whole point of my channel, is to talk about functionality. Design the kitchen layout to optimize workflow and efficiency. So you definitely want to work with your designer. You'll want to work with myself, with your interior designer, with your carpenter, your builder, or just yourself as you go through the process to plan out a very functional workflow for that kitchen. And think about it in terms of functionality is key. I know that you want to also make your kitchen beautiful and pretty to look at, but functionality is really, really key. Once we figure out the functional aspects of your kitchen, then we can move on to, making it the aesthetic appeal that you want it to, the particular style, or however you want to, decorate that kitchen for the eyeballs. You definitely want to make sure that this thing is functional to the hilt, so that you have an awesome kitchen to work in. So you want to prioritize workflow, you want to prioritize efficiency. And if you don't know the questions to ask, then, work with a designer to figure out some of those steps. And channels like myself and Michael from Kitchen Cider, and others out there who have kitchen design channels, and even interior designers, it's their goal and our goal to bring the information out there so people can know what it is, know the questions to ask, and hopefully be able to design kitchens that work for them and that they're not working in the kitchen. So prioritize workflow, prioritize efficiency, and there's lots of ways to do that within the kitchen, but that's the mindset you want to have. So don't let that, again, go till just the end to say, hey, all right, it's just all going to work out. I trust my designer. I see a lot of kitchen designs, and I'm sure I do kitchen designs that can be improved. So it's always good to work with people to fine tune those things, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. And all right, let's keep going. Woohoo! Finally catching a Wednesday live. Jody, hey, awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks everybody for being here as we go through these do's and don'ts of kitchen design. Give the video a thumbs up on the way in the door. And I apologize for the kind of little delay in my camera. I'm not sure how to get rid of that. So if any of you are camera streamers, you know how to deal with that, let me know. Okay, let's go to this next one. All right, do invest in quality appliances. Choose appliances that suit your cooking needs and fit seamlessly into the overall design scheme. I think it's important to really talk about the appliance situation, because the day that we live in, one of the complaints I get a lot of is appliances are not built the same way they used to be built, and they burn out quickly. There's a lot of smart tech appliances that cost a lot of money to repair, and as soon as the warranty's up, so is the fridge or stove or whatever it is you're dealing with. So I think it's a good investment to really think about quality appliances, because that is the working parts of your kitchen. There's two things in the kitchen that I really, really think should be good quality. One is the appliances, and one is the working parts, the hinges, the drawer rails, the working parts that are going to be moving. But if you have something that is a good quality appliance, then you are going to be able to use that thing further into the future, and it's going to serve you well. So it's really, I guess it comes down to a budget question, possibly, of what you want to choose. But do your research and find out what are the good brands out there to be looking at. I'm no appliance expert by any means, but I will say this: that if you are using your kitchen, you're using appliances daily. That's the whole point of a kitchen cabinet, is to put it around an appliance. Otherwise, you just have a stove and a fridge, and a little sink and a countertop, and that would be it. Would be the end of my channel. But we do have to put all these cabinets around appliances, and we want those appliances to work. One of the problems with trading out appliances is they do change in size, especially refrigerators. They're all different widths and heights, and so getting an appliance that fits and is going to last a long time is super, super key. So invest in good quality appliances. You can't go wrong with that. All right, let's go. Next one. All right, consider ergonomics. Design countertops and workspaces at comfortable heights to reduce strain and fatigue during meal prep and everything else, really. So just consider the way you're using the space. And this is a conversation that you'll need to have with your designer, with your kitchen person, to make the kitchen really functional for you. And that is a really important thing. When you go into a big box store, when you go anywhere where they're going to sell you a kitchen, it can be a kitchen, dedicated shop, it can be a big box store or anything in between. Or if you're doing something online, you're buying an RTA cabinet and they have people that you could talk to, or even if you're talking to me, you're designing a kitchen that is very, very specific to your needs. Yes, there's a work triangle, and yes, there's all the guidelines that you follow, but those guidelines don't cover your specific needs, and we want to make sure that those things are taken care of. So when you're designing that kitchen, think about that. Just think about how you use the space, and is it ergonomically efficient for you? Do you have a section of countertop that is lowered because you need it lowered, because you're shorter, or you're taller and you have a taller section, or you have a pull down unit, or you're too short to reach a pull down unit? That's one of the comments I got in my last week's video, because I'm talking about the fact that this is a great thing if you're 50 or older, but then some people are commenting saying, well, I'm only 4'7", I can never reach that thing. So everything's not for everyone, and so you need to design it specifically for yourself. All right, so I would say that is a really good piece of advice. Work with your designer to figure out all those things. That could mean pullouts, it could mean step stools, lowered sections, it could mean pullouts, it could mean a number of things, even just proper clearances and wheelchair accessibility, or whatever it means. The handles you put on the door, the way the door is hinged, if it's left or right, or does it work for you while you're working in the space? And that's something that you can work with your designer about. So don't forget ergonomics, and that if you're going to be, especially using that kitchen. I know a lot of people, we look at some big high-end kitchens sometimes, and they are very much, picturesque and they're meant for Instagram maybe, or these higher end homes, you get the comments of, well, they don't obviously cook, it's probably they just get takeout because it's so elaborate, the kitchen. But and I get all that. And so it can be, hard to kind of look at some of those things. So make sure you do design that kitchen exactly the way that you need it. And you know what? I know that things can be an issue for resale. Um, so that's always something to consider. Um, but if you are designing the kitchen for your use, then you got to take that into consideration. If you're going to sell the place in 5 years, maybe there's an argument. But if you're really going to put a lot of money into this home and you're going to stay there, then that's something to take care of. That the people who buy the thing they're probably going to renovate the kitchen anyway. So yeah, I mean that's good, something good to think about. But yeah, be cautious with that, but also make sure you design your kitchen to work for you. Uh, all right, let's go to the next one. Darlene's saying, "Remember, our bodies are made to move, so a little step here and squat there is good for you." Amen, Jackie. It definitely is. Don't. I sometimes worry when I do kitchen design for over 50 that I'm not expect. I don't expect to be decrepit, but you just want it to be functional. So that's the main goal. Do some squats, you'll be good. All right, let's do this one. A do incorporate proper lighting. My video on Saturday coming up is about lighting, all things lighting. Utilize a combination of task, accent lighting to enhance functionality, safety, and ambiance in the kitchen. So not enough can be said about lighting. My kind of motto, some of you know, is if you don't have it, you can't turn it on. So put as many lights in as many places as possible so that they're there for you. And on Saturday's video, I'll go through a whole bunch of lighting options, how to install them, where to install them, the type of brightness, things to consider when you're picking out those things so that you can have a very functionally lit kitchen and not just a beautifully lit kitchen. There's a difference between the aesthetics and does this work for you functionally. So when it comes to lighting, I'll just run through kind of the gauntlet. You obviously want to have under cabinet lighting. I think that's really important. There's a wide variety. Needs to be installed correctly. Saturday's video will tell you how to do that. Pot lights in the ceiling or recessed lights in the ceiling, generally the way to go. It's not always the best way. There's other solutions, but it's a great way. Put them where you need them. Don't just put them in some kind of runway pattern. You want them to be installed where you need the light. And there's specific places where those lights will help to reduce shadows and glare on countertops. You want pendants over an island, a peninsula, maybe a sink, maybe a coffee station. There's so many options for pendants out there, but those are a great idea. And hanging in the right height is important, and where they're located is important. You also have under cabinet lighting, under the lip of your countertop lighting. You have over the cabinet lighting. You have lighting inside of cabinets. You have sconces, you have lamps, you have windows. They're all sources of light, and something you should be considering when you're planning out your kitchen. And most clients who I talk to when we do one-on-one consultations, lighting is something that we chat about because it's so very important to the overall functionality of the space. So do make sure that you utilize a combination of all these things so that you can get just great light in the kitchen, a mixture of warm light and cool light and proper foot candles. There you go. All right. And the table lamp is just a joke, but you can get one if you want. Just make sure you dust it. All right. I don't know what number this is, but do choose durable materials. Well, you don't want something that's going to fall apart, but opt for high quality, easy to clean materials for countertops, flooring, cabinetry to ensure longevity and aesthetic appeal. There's a lot of pieces in a kitchen, and they all need to be cleaned. I mean, the kitchen is essentially dirty by design because you're walking in it, there's food everywhere, there's spills, there's splashes from a stove, from a sink. You drop the milk out of the fridge, you drop a bottle of something somewhere and it splatters everywhere. So it's inherently a messy place and can get very dirty. And so you want to choose materials that are super easy to clean. Um, my suggestion for cabinets is not one that's very popular because people don't like these type of cabinets, but it is a good idea clean wise to pick a door style or a cabinet door, at least, that is a one piece door made out of one solid material that is wrapped somehow, whether it's polyester or some kind of thermal wrap. Back in the day, I hated those things because they would delaminate and just be a major pain. But the technology is better now. Polyester wraps are much better, and it allows you to clean your cabinets with ease and not have to worry about, using something on paint that isn't really supposed to be used on paint, voiding your warranty from cleaning. And so just take that in consideration if you're using a wood cabinet, just or a painted cabinet, just clean it properly and just be aware that any kind of five-piece assembled door is going to have grooves that do get dirty. And if that's something that bothers you and you don't want to be in there with a toothpick and, cleaning it out, then that might not be for you. So, and cleaning products will definitely void the warranty of your cabinets if something were to fade or happen. Almost every cabinet company I've ever dealt with, they just recommend mild soap and water, but we go with the magic erasers. I mean, even I do it, and the Mister Clean or the spray Clorox or you name it, Windex, all that stuff is not meant for cabinets, and so you just have to be careful about it. Countertops, pick something easy to clean. There's lots of them out there, you know them all, and flooring the same thing. So just be cognizant of the fact that you have to clean this thing and try to choose materials that you know are going to be easy to clean. For instance, let's talk about butcher block. Butcher block is a great surface, great to cut on. It's awesome, but it needs a little more care than maybe a piece of granite or Dectin or something else. So just be aware of those things. As long as you're aware of them, you know what you have to do to clean the things, you're good to go. All right. What's Jackie saying? Let's take a break. Talk to Jackie for a minute. I wish I was in charge, Shania. I'm here thanks to your graces. I wield power sparingly or out of spite. OTR haters. I must have missed something. Oh, there you go. You're in charge. Aha. Yeah. Even I got to watch out. I can't say anything too. I got to keep the OTR community. Just I gotta coddle them a little bit, or else I'll feel the wrath of my own live stream. All right, let's do the next one. All right, this is the next do. I don't know how far along we are here, but all right, do include adequate ventilation. Install powerful range hood, powerful enough. Doesn't have to be over powerful, just needs to be powerful enough. You should talk with a specialist to know how much air that is. Um, so you can eliminate odors, grease, and moisture. Odors and moisture are a really, really big deal. You want to get rid of moisture in your kitchen, and that's going to prolong the life of your cabinets as well. And cooking odors too is just getting that stuff out of there. You're not going to do this with an OTR. All right, you're just not going to get proper ventilation with an OTR. So just consider that. But if you do have an OTR, just vent the thing, please, 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 please. Don't recirculate. So adequate ventilation does mean that it's not recirculated air; it is vented outside. So if if that's not possible, it's not possible. But when it is, you should really try to do that and make sure that you have um, a powerful enough ventilation for your needs. So you don't need to go buy a range hood that's 1,000 CFM, cubic feet per minute of air movement. If you have a tiny 150, not tiny, but 150 square foot kitchen, you likely don't need that much draw of air in there. So just be mindful of this, of what you need, and be mindful that you need makeup air into that space as well for all the air that you draw out over a certain amount of CFM, or you create this kind of vacuum effect in your kitchen, and you're just sucking the curtains off the wall. So you don't want to do that. So just talk with a specialist HVAC or someone who is, just knows the ventilation game to get the thing that's proper for your space, and not just the most powerful thing you can find. Because we have this idea that if it's just more powerful, it's going to be the right choice, but that's not necessarily the truth. Not necessarily bad either, but just you want to pick the right one. And don't recirculate if you can help it. Sometimes you can't, and that's fine. You do what you can. 1800 CFM. Yeah, if you have a mouse hole, the mouse will be sucked right out of that thing. It's good for pest control, but it's not going to be good for. It might be too much. All right, do create a focal point, such as kitchen island, statement backsplash, decorative lighting fixture. Add visual interest and personality to the space. So, this is not a functional thing. Focal point's a focal point, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't add one. And I think every kitchen deserves to have something that you're like, oh wow, that looks really good. The wow factor, it's a real thing. When people walk in, they see it. You want them sometimes, maybe you don't care, but most people like when someone walks in being, oh wow, I really love what you did around your range, or I really love your island, or I love that light fixture. And I think you can get. I mean, I know I can get caught up in the functional weeds and miss the other part of it. So educate yourself on design and look at inspiring pictures and find things that can really inspire you and that you like the look of and kind of go in those directions and explore those things. So just put something in there that that is that is focal. I thought I was a focal. Well, maybe you very well may be. Um, so that's fine too. Uh, Dress for success. So, all right. Here's Jen. Hey, my OTR is vented outside and it's 600 CFM, which is what my ventilation guy recommended. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's good. You're going with recommendations. You can't go wrong with that. That's really good. I'm not sure what the formula is. I just know that over a certain amount of CFM, you do need makeup air, and that's an important thing to think about. It's the best OTR I've ever had. Are you and Jackie in cahoots? The old Grizz. The old Grizz is the focal point. Yes, he is. All right, let's go to the next one. Yeah, so nothing wrong with adding a focal point. All right, the next do is to ensure accessibility. Design the kitchen for all ages and abilities, include accessible countertops, pull-out shelves, lever handle faucets. I just added like random things here. Um, but when you're designing a kitchen, you want to think about everyone who's using the space. And if it's just you, then that's fine. Just design it for you. No one else uses the kitchen, that's fine. But if you have elderly people in the home, or if you have kids in the home, or if you have whomever else in the home, make sure the kitchen's designed so that everybody can use it. This especially applies, I think, for me personally, at least in my kind of you know dogma of kitchen design, is to have the refrigerator the most accessible so that everybody in the home can access the fridge without interrupting the workflow of the cook and someone who's using the interior of the kitchen. And so I kind of prioritize that as one of those items to make that accessible. It could just mean as something as pull-out shelves or lowered countertop like we mentioned before. So I think I think it's important to think about that in the design phase, just to make sure it's accessible for whomever's using it. This can be like here's something, um, an overhang for a peninsula or an island. The depth of that overhang, no one really thinks about this in terms of accessibility, but when you're sitting at an island with a little 12-inch overhang, it's generally not that comfortable. And then depending on if you have knee brackets or some kind of support that you can just bang your knees on. So think of it, if you're going to be sitting there, you want that to be comfortable and accessible to the person using it, and not you're hunched over the countertop because the stool's kind of too high and you don't have enough knee room, you're kind of sideways. So if you're planning on having seating in your island, make sure that's comfortable seating, accessible seating, so that you can sit there and be comfortable, not waste a ton of money on a 12-inch overhang that is no good to you. So, just plan accordingly when you're doing that. All right, Jackie, you got a question for me? I see a couple question marks. Let's jump to a few questions because I think we're jumping over into do nots, and I get one more do, I think. Catherine asked about your opinion on cork flooring. My opinion on cork flooring. That's a good question. I've never had cork flooring, and so I don't have I don't have an experienced opinion. From what I know, it can be great in the kitchen. It's softer. Um, I think it's relatively, a little more environmentally friendly. But I don't claim to be a flooring specialist. I'd actually have to just read up on it to find out, more. And I don't I don't I don't do a lot of cork flooring. I do a lot of hardwood, um, and tile. but cork's not, and even laminates, vinyl and stuff like that. But I hear great things about cork, and I think it's fairly renewable product. But yeah, I can't really help you much more than that. Sorry. Uh, make sure you have enough outlets. Yes, make sure you do have enough outlets. That's a good one. I don't have that on here, but you can't. Well, I guess you can have too many, maybe, so that you don't, you can never ever use them. But make sure you have enough outlets. That's a good one. Thank you, Vonda. All right. Do read up on cork flooring. That's my note for myself. Personalize the space. So incorporate elements of your own personal style. So this goes beyond a focal point, of course. This is just bringing in your personality to the space and being okay with that. Some people get so, um, you know, caught up in not being able to make a decision on the things in their kitchen because they're worried about does it look good or whatever. Like, you know what you like and you want to add those things to your kitchen, add the color. I had a conversation with someone this week and they wanted a particular wallpaper, and it was really lively and unique, and probably not something that most people would maybe put on their wall, but they really, really loved it. That's enough reason right there to put the wallpaper on the wall. Wallpaper can come off, by the way, so it's simple. Paint can be changed, so these items can be changed. When I talk about trends, one of the things I like to mention is that the trends that are removable and changeable are good to put in your kitchen because they likely will change. And then your cabinets can be more of a timeless or whatever type of style. And overall, cabinets themselves are fairly timeless because they're cabinets. I mean, if one thing in a kitchen's timeless, it's the fact that they are cabinets. So if you go down the rabbit hole I'm on here, the changeable items are really a great place where you can add personality, and so you can think about that and add something like that to your kitchen. Right, all these accents, make it yours so that you really enjoy being there. Wow, 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 wow. All right, where are we at, everybody? I think that's the last do. And we're jumping. Oh, there's the don't. So let me jump into the chat for a few minutes. Thank you for hanging on with me for a little while. And if you're watching this replay, um, you should really try to join it live because this gets a little chatty for a replay. And I get the comment, get to the point. Well, I also want to hang out with all of you in the chat for a minute, so I'm going to do that. All right. Anything here? Any questions anyone has? Any funny comments? All right. What's Jen saying? I won't ever have finger problems. Then what? If you won't ever have, then go for it. But my sill has cup handles, and I've whacked my hip because yeah. You want to be careful with those things. How do you? How far out are you booked, Darren? You can. What's today? I have availability Friday. So actually, well, tomorrow I don't know if you can book tomorrow, but uh, yeah, there's lots of availability. I probably do, a handful of calls every week, so it's not like I'm super booked all the time. So you can definitely. What happens when you sign up is you get to pick a date on the calendar link, and you can just select the time of day and the day that you want. So, but yeah, you wouldn't have a problem. Patrick, like the Star Trek guy, Jason Statham, I can get, but Patrick Stewart, wasn't he the guy from Star Trek? I don't know if I'd have a poster of that guy or not. Brad Pitt. All right. I don't have handles or pulls on my cabinets. If we were to read it, right, we won't have handles. Interesting. So here's an interesting thing I find. I think in the United States, it's sort of a trend not to have cabinet handles. Am I right or wrong? Are you guys, sorry about my camera. Are you guys, do you agree with that? Do a lot of you have um, hardware on your cabinets, or are they handleless? I know in Canada it's definitely always handles. It rarely ever is it handleless, from what I mean, I don't know all of Canada, obviously, but I'd like to know what you guys have. Yeah, many have no handles. That's uh that's something. But even if they're not pushed open, I still find that that is something that is a trend for some reason. My 80s condo has no handles. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Interesting. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. I guess you can just open the door however you want, but I recommend handles unless you're doing a push to open, which is fine too, but to each his own. Mickey saying yes, have handles. And I agree. Yeah, overall. Um, oh, it depends on full overlay or partial overlay doors. I could see on a half overlay door, yeah, not having a handle because you have room for your hand to get in. And full overlay, you could do it from the bottom or the top, maybe. I don't know. Interesting. Wow, we got a good conversation going on these handles. I visited a friend in the States with cupboards with no handles. You had to grab them at the bottom to open them or top. Yeah, not arthritis or injury friendly. That's a good point. Yeah, I have handles. I mean, I prefer handles, but that's because it's the run of the mill. When I don't see handles, it looks like the kitchen's not finished, and so then it just looks unfinished. So don't unfinish your kitchen. All right, let's jump into the don'ts, everybody, and let's see. I try not to make these all, just the opposites of the do's. Hopefully, these will give us some new things to talk about. Well, for every do, there's an equal and opposite don't. Basically, it's Newton's law of kitchen design. And here we go. Don't overlook safety. So avoid sharp corners, slippery flooring, and cluttered countertops, especially in households with children, elderly individuals, or yourself. Just think about safety, and a little bit of a radius on a countertop is a good idea. Flooring that when it gets wet, you're not going to worry about hitting. Um, Even as in terms of where you store heavy items, can be a problem. An OTR, for instance, can be a real problem for safety. So just something to think about. Um, and I'm not just being facetious, it really actually can be. So that the height of your appliances can be an issue. And if you're storing heavy bowls and pots or whatever on an upper cabinet, that can be a problem. So just even simple things like that, think through about those items, and make sure that your kitchen is safe. Even having a fire extinguisher close at hand, or I've seen these ads recently for these blankets that you can put out a fire with. I've seen them on YouTube recently, and I'm not sure where else, but yeah, these like little blankets, and you put them over a fire and it smothers the thing. Because a lot of times when you have a grease fire in your kitchen, you're panicking, you don't know what to do. You throw it in the sink or something crazy like that, and you get in a lot of trouble. So just think about safety. Don't slip around your kitchen. Um, Obviously, you're going to have safe electrical outlets because you're going to have an electrician do that, right? You're not going to wire them yourself, and make sure they're GFI, all that other things. All right, let's go to the next one here. But wait, now let's see. Our new LTV flooring is slightly abrasive, so I think it's slightly sanding the dog's nails. Well, that can be good, maybe for the dog. You'll have to get them clipped at the vet. Oh, back to the handles. Yeah, Kira. Handles are a big part of kitchen personality. Very much so. What I like to do is, when allowed, which is very rarely, but it's happened in the past. Just have one handle that's odd, like just one handle in the kitchen that's like a flower or something crazy like that, and the rest are normal. I used to do that. It's something fun. All right, it's not for everybody, but I've done it. All right, let's go to this next one. All right, neglect counter clearance. This is a big one. And interesting that this comes up right now because I had a client today. We were chatting about this. Avoid designing countertops with insufficient clearance space around appliances and not only around appliances, but just walk spaces to ensure maintenance, ease of maintenance and use. So not only with appliances, but that's definitely a good factor. You have to be able to get your appliances in and out in case they need to come in and out, and also for doors to open, fridge doors, dishwasher doors, oven doors, and the like. So make sure there's proper clearances. And Like for instance, you might have a kitchen where you have smaller clearances between things, and you're okay with that. But when you're designing a new kitchen, you really want to maximize that clearance. You'll be glad that you did because you're just making the kitchen easier to use overall. So I'd say that it's something very, very important to think about, and this can come into play like if you're trying to put an island in a space that is too big for the space. So it might come down to making that island, smaller, using a peninsula maybe instead, and just being sure that everything can open properly and you have room, ample room for things, and for yourself to stand in front of them or beside them, wherever you have to stand to access them. There's no fun accessing a wall oven or an oven when you have to stand beside it, and it can make it awkward and more dangerous. So again, having proper clearances is a safety issue as well, so that you can just maneuver properly, and this affects how many people are in that kitchen as well. So if you have two people, in the kitchen and around each other, well, that's fine if you're just making a peanut butter sandwich. But if you have a casserole coming to the oven and you have a dishwasher door open and you're trying to do things in the kitchen, that can be an issue. So just be very mindful of that. Don't neglect your clearances. All right, let's do the next one. All right, don't disregard the work triangle. Now, Mark, you have said it's not important in the past. Let me keep talking here. Don't disregard the importance of the kitchen work triangle when planning your kitchen layout. Oh, sorry, I messed up that one. Ensure efficient workflow. So I have been known to say, and I will go on the record as saying that is not as important to me as maybe it is to some other people. I don't know. It's maybe just the best way I can put it. But I'm not saying it's not an important concept and a great starting point. I think I've made myself clear in my videos and when I talk about it. It is a great starting point, and at the very least, you'll have a functional kitchen. I really think you will if you follow the kitchen triangle guidelines, some distances between the three things and whatever. I think overall you can't go wrong. It's a starting point. And so what you don't want to do is just blindly listen to some guy on the internet say, "Oh, forget about that. You don't even need to worry about that." That's certainly not what I mean, is you just don't have to ever worry about it. It's a great starting point. There's just other things in that conversation that need to be talked about, like work zones and how they interact and multiple work triangles and just all the other things that are in the kitchen. So don't throw out the work triangle because you're trying to be a forward thinker in your kitchen design. You might just really mess it up. So it's important. There's just other pieces of the conversation which add to it and bring it into the century that we live in, the age we live in, and the way that we use our kitchens now with all the appliances that we have now that they didn't have when that concept was being introduced and thought about. So, all right, so you can don't disregard it, even though I say it's not the most important thing in the world, but it's still important. All right, very good. Let's hit the next one. All right. All right, don't skip on task lighting. Now, I know I mentioned lighting in the do's, but I specifically want to mention task lighting for this one. So don't skimp on task lighting. Ensure adequate task lighting, such as under cabinet lights or pendants, to illuminate work surfaces effectively. More so under cabinet lighting and task specific lighting. Make sure it's the right color temperature for that you enjoy and find bright for yourself. It can be a warm light, a cool light, whatever it is. Make sure that you try to reduce glare on your surfaces, and there's a way that you can angle under cabinet lights or use diffusers or different things like that so that you have a comfortable space. Make sure that it is the proper brightness in lumens, and the areas being covered. There's a lot of conversation when it comes to task lighting to make sure that you're getting the most benefit from the light. It's one thing just to stick some puck lights or a strip of lights underneath your wall cabinet, and then you find out that it's really bright, or there's a glare, or it's it can be done wrong. And so you just want to make sure you get really tuned in on the task lighting, because that's really the point of task lighting, is to light up the task if you want to be able to see it and be comfortable with it, not end up with a migraine or whatever. So um, yeah, think about that and don't neglect it. Don't skimp on task lighting. And the problem is that every light you install in your kitchen is going to create a shadow somewhere, and the addition of these lights, adding these layers of lights helps to reduce shadows and glare in your kitchen so it can be very comfortable to use. Let's go to the next one. All right, don't overlook storage accessibility. So we did talk about storage, but I do want to just finally point out this little part of it is that you want to make sure that your storage solutions are accessible, so you don't have excessive bending and reaching. Yes, Darlene, we do want to be able to bend and reach. Um, However, in your kitchen, it is important that you make it as functional as possible. If you want a bendy, reachy kitchen, that's fine too. By all means, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have any pullouts. You can have cabinets that you have to reach into, and all that is fine. But if you're adding storage, my advice is to say make sure that you can get at that stuff and 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 think through that. It might not just be a bank of drawers. It could be a pullout. It could be some specific use accessory that goes into that cabinet. It could be whatever's in your corner to make it as accessible as possible. I've had a lot of conversations this week with clients about corner bases, which I love to talk about, and they have a blind corner. And my go-to with a blind corner, though it's a very expensive application, is the magic corner. I think it's probably one of the better uses for that space. And I don't even like corners, but if you're going to have one, make sure that you can get into it. If you're going to have a lazy Susan, make sure that you're very comfortable with reaching in behind it to get whatever fell off. Unless it's the rounded back cabinet, which is actually a pretty good idea. But yeah, so just think about that. And when you're going through the process of adding storage, make sure you can get at that stuff. That's really important. Katie's saying my cabinets go to the ceiling, top shelf. How's items don't use often? Yeah, and that's the thing. If you have cabinets to the ceiling, it's great extra storage. You're not going to get in there all the time. It's out of the reach. Most people can't reach that top shelf, but it is great for extra storage, and nothing wrong with having that. But you could think of a pull down wall cabinet, pull down unit. There's actually whole cabinets that move, not just the unit that I talk about. There's actually whole cabinets that the whole thing just is on some kind of machine and the whole thing comes down. So there's just ways to deal with those things that are out there, and I think it's important to deal with them. I have a vintage corner sink in my bathroom. Love it. Interesting. That's cool. Corner sinks in the kitchens can be boo, brutal. All right, don't underestimate future needs. Don't design the kitchen solely based on your current needs without considering future requirements. We talked about this on a live stream before, and you don't know how things are going to change, and that's fine. But I think it's important to think about when you're designing your kitchen about just if I'm going to be living here for 10, 20 years, will this kitchen that I'm spending 50 grand on be adequate? And are there things I might need to change? And if there are, you can design it in ways that are easier to change later on if you have to. So just think through that and make sure that you're designing the kitchen that serves that greater purpose. Some people like to design kitchens for an aging in place scenario where they don't need the specifics of that accessibility now, but they may need it in the future or anticipate that they will. So those are just the conversations that are important to have with your designer and go through that process. So just think about the future you and design your kitchen accordingly. All right, don't. This is an interesting one that rarely ever comes up, but I want to talk about it here. Don't neglect acoustics. So avoid neglecting acoustics in the kitchen as excessive noise can be disruptive. This comes into play a lot with the open concept kitchen. So the age of the open concept kitchen, it's upon us. It is what we're living. It's just the way it is. It is probably going to be the future for a little while for a lot of people. So with the open concept kitchen just comes a lot of noise because you have all these other rooms connected and there's nothing separating them. And so there's noise from the kitchen to the other rooms that bleed over. There's noise from the other rooms that bleed into the kitchen, and it can be, maybe annoying. And so there's ways to think about dampening that sound so that you you can, you know, absorb some of that sound. Surfaces are reflective. Every hard surface sounds bouncing off of, and you know this. And so your kitchen is just a bunch of hard surfaces that stuff bounces off of. Some people may put a runner in their kitchen. I'm not a huge fan of that just because of the safety issue, but it is something you can think about. Some people put curtains in their kitchen. Again, there's all kinds of things you can do um, to do that. One way, though, specifically is like with your sink cabinet, and if you have like a stainless steel sink, making sure that it has sound dampening panels on it, so it's not clanky and bangy. That's really important to have. And the other thing is like your vent hood, making sure that you have one that's not only powerful but has a low what's called sones, the volume of sound that the thing produces. And one of the issues in like my own kitchen is you put on the fan, and that's it. It's very loud. And open concept house, and so if the fan's on, you can't hear anybody, you can't talk. So all just things to think about. Think about that acoustics in the kitchen, and then plan accordingly. Or get a separate kitchen, then your husband can watch his shows without dealing with whatever's happening in there. All right, let's go to we don't have to worry about noise so much. We're old enough to have. Yeah, dishwashers can be noisy. I mean, they come with that sound dampening on them, but even still, they're very noisy. So just interesting thing to consider. Vonda's, what are you saying, Vonda? Do you clean your kitchen space? Do I clean it? Yes, I do. All right. Forget about waste. Don't do this. Don't forget about the waste. Don't neglect to incorporate a designated area for waste disposal or recycling bins in the kitchen design. So, usually now within the kitchen layout, you have this separate work zone that ties into the kitchen triangle, is just to have this separate clean zone, which is normally your dishwasher, your sink, and your garbage disposal, and your waste bin, and your recycle bin. So, don't leave this to the end. Really consider that in the kitchen. It's really, really important. So, you know, it's a balance, kitchen design. It's like you got this pie, and you got to give each thing it's important. How important it is if storage and countertop and you know workflow, waste disposal has to be in there somewhere. So really make sure you pay attention to that in the design phase and how that's going to look and feel, and make sure that's in a zone so that you're not going way over here in your kitchen to put away, throw away your recycles, and way over here for your garbage, and you get your sink here and your dishwasher and your disposal. So think through that process a little bit. All right. Don't underestimate. I think this is the last don't, if I am correct. Yes. Don't underestimate the importance of flooring. Um, yeah. So do some research on cork flooring, Mark. Don't overlook the significance of durable and slip-resistant flooring in the kitchen. So it's important that you find a floor that is comfortable in your feet, that is maybe forgiving if you're going to drop a dish, that is slip resistant, maybe if that's important to you, and of course that meets the budget, or whatever the gauntlet of things that you have to tick off about your flooring. Just don't neglect that aspect of flooring, that something's going to stand up to the wear and tear that you're going to put in it. So those are my list of do's and don'ts, and I think it's important that there's more. Of course, there's probably 50 do's and don'ts easily in a kitchen design, and those things come up when you're talking with your designer, when you're going through the process, and things that you think about, or just your own experience in your own kitchen. You probably have things that you'd say, listen, that I have my personal kitchen, definitely don't do this. And one of the things often recommend on my design checklist is, what are the things in your kitchen that you love, and what are the things in the kitchen that you don't love? Those two things are very important to know. What are the things you want to do again in your new kitchen? What are the things you don't want to do again? And understanding that your old kitchen might have things in it that work great, and you love about your new kitchen, and or your old kitchen, and equally, there's things that you don't love about it. But when you have your new kitchen, not only do you want to make sure that you get rid of the things that don't work, but keep the things that do work, or maybe improve upon them even more. So just because you have an old kitchen doesn't mean that it's all bad. It just might need to be upgraded or improved upon. And then so you can think through that as you're designing a kitchen. All right. All right. If you have any comments, put them in the chat. I'd love to answer you a few minutes before we go. Um, and I hope that you found some value in that. And if you have some do's and don'ts, put them in the comments as well. If there's something specific in your kitchen that you'd be like, this is something you definitely don't want to do, I'd love to hear about it. And what are we talking about dishwashers here for, everybody? What's this? Let me see. Oh, okay. What's this? My counter installers disrupted the batting on my dishwasher, so now it's quiet. Ooh, that's no good. Um, yeah. See, like, there's noise is an issue in the kitchen, but we can't have carpet in there. Maybe we can. I don't know. I don't recommend carpet in your kitchen, but I think Asco is made by Bosch. Ah, interesting. Oh yeah, it's the dishwasher. Very quiet. That's good. It's great to have quiet appliances that you can't hear. Like, you remember your fridge, when your fridge starts running, you're like, oh, there's the fridge again. Elizabeth, have had no real kitchen since first week of October. That's a long time. Cabin's finally going in this weekend. Well, congratulations, you're finally getting your kitchen installed. That is a long time to be without a kitchen. I hope you were aware of that going into it, or maybe some hiccup happened that you weren't aware of. But major remodel, major. It wasn't just a major one; it's a major one. Yeah, they can take time. As long as you're prepared for it. Sorry. No, very aware. Good. That's the main thing. As long as you know what you're getting into. A lot of people don't understand the problems that can come up, and that can be a problem. Is a mini dishwasher a mistake versus a full size one? Um, like, yes, yes, it's a mistake. Um, it just sort of depends. If you don't have the space, if you truly don't have the space, then that can be something that can help. If it's just you, if you're single living in the home and it's just one person, that can work probably fine. Um, but but normally I would say no. I would just put in a regular size dishwasher if you can, or maybe a drawer dishwasher, which is doesn't take up, but it has a pretty big capacity, but still not like a regular full size. So I would say it's dependent on your needs, but it's not a mistake necessarily, unless you have like a family of 5. Then just prepare to wash dishes by hand. Then I think it might be a mistake. All right. You guys are all great. Thanks so much for hanging with me for this hour that we're on here. And hit the thumbs up if you can. I really do appreciate it. If you want to hook up for a Zoom call consultation meeting, there is a link in the description of this live stream or replay that you can do that. And I'd love to chat with you about your kitchen, get into the details of your kitchen. Maybe you need a second set of eyes on that space. It's a great hour just chatting with me and you on Zoom. I get to see a face instead of just looking at myself in this camera. So it's always good. Katie has a question. Does no one consider stainless steel countertops anymore? No one does. No. Very rarely will I have someone ever consider a stainless countertop. Very, very rarely. So I don't know if it's because of availability. I don't know if it's because just the style of it is just not something that's trendy. Um, but stainless countertops are great, and they maybe should be considered they're very functional, very durable. I don't know price wise how they compare to something else, and you have to love the look of stainless, and I think maybe that's a lot of it. The look of stainless is not something most people like in their kitchen, but that's very personal. So, but if you're thinking about stainless steel countertops, you have my backing. I think it's a great countertop surface. for sure. Um, but yeah, definitely not popular. That doesn't mean a whole lot though. Usually it has to be fabricated, and that can be very pricey. Thank you for being here. I love it. All right, what do we got? Any more questions? Stainless expensive but lasts forever. Yeah, easy to clean. Yeah, well, if you've worked with it, yeah, you understand. So it is easy to clean, lasts forever, and it is completely recyclable, which is a great feature. But yeah, not something that is popular for whatever reason. It's like Corian. It's popular with Helen. I see Helen here. But only 7 thumbs up. Refresh the screen. Might be more. Um, Corian isn't that popular, but I know like in some places it's more popular. In Australia, Helen says it's very popular there. She has it. She loves it. But again, it's like not something that's marketed. The quartz has taken over the world in terms of countertop surfaces, and we're still dealing with that now. And as we've seen, there's a problem with quartz now in the industry that they're having some trouble with. What's the next topic going to be? I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea. I usually think about these topics on Tuesday. So if you have an idea, send it my way. It's all good. Um, I wish I could be more prepared than that, but I'm just not. So, all right. Before the aesthetics, I look at function. Kitchen is a food shop. Yes, I agree. The kitchen has to be designed for function. That's why these do's and don'ts are important, so that you don't mess up your kitchen and get a kitchen that's not functional. All right. Cool. I can definitely help you. I can definitely help. Yeah, just go on the website. You can select your time, and then we'll chat. I love it. Always love talking to people, and it's great, especially to you know go over the kitchens and get help with or answer questions or whatever. Just maybe get a peace of mind on something, which is really helpful as well. Because you're gonna spend a lot of money on a kitchen. You want to make sure that it is exactly what you want it to be. Yeah. See, Helen loves her Corian and the weekly live with Mark and the MTK Deers. Yeah, I love it too. This is my favorite hour of the week on YouTube for sure. I love hanging out with you guys. So, any more questions? I'm going to jump off and go hang out with the fam and getting granite with big veins so it glows in the dark. Ooh, yeah. Well, be careful there. That's something I do get asked quite a bit about is oh cool. Awesome, Matthew. That's exciting. Is about granite and about radon and stuff like that. There's a lot of mixed information. I don't know what's true or not. I'm not a geologist by any means, and I certainly don't have all the answers when it comes to that. So if you're thinking about granite, do a little bit of research maybe and figure out that answer if it's something that concerns you. So our child is going to be a year and a half this week, which means my kitchen is 3. Sweet. Well, he's at the age where he's gonna start running around that kitchen and using it. So that can be fun. When my kids were small, that was really fun, making muffins and stuff like that. Alright. Saw honey oak saw honey onyx. That was gorgeous. Wow. I never heard of honey onyx, to be honest with you. Either's Jackie. It sounds fun, though. Anything above laminate will be good. ROI apartment building I'm in. Yeah, but you know what? Laminate's not that bad. I gotta tell you. I mean, maybe yours is just beat to death because it's older and it doesn't, I mean, it's not resistant forever, but laminate's not that bad. There's a lot of great laminate. In fact, you can get that stuff we talked about before, which is the ultra compact stuff. It should be really, really great. Does anyone do induction charging for mobile devices on countertops? Not anyone I've dealt with. It's mostly something I've seen, but, it's not something I've ever had a client ask about, but you can certainly do it. Um, so to say, does anyone do it? I'm sure people do it. No one I've ever worked with has. But it's also something you can retrofit after the fact. So I like the idea, actually. I think it's kind of cool. So yeah, you can have it so that it's fabricated into the top as well. So if that's something you want to pursue, definitely talk to your fabricator about that. Mark, can you preserve the chat after the live stream? A lot of good stuff gets lost. Well, the chat, yeah, when you view the replay, you can also view the chat in there. So if you watch in replay, the chat will be there. And I think you can toggle it on or off. So if it's not there, it's because it's toggled off. So all right, all right. Trina's going with laminate. Yeah, I'm not against laminate at all. But all right. After all I've been through, including granite and quartz, I'll do laminate next time. Well, there you go. Right. Another. I know. Darlene loves laminate. Gammy's here. Never miss a live stream. Thanks for thinking of me. Great job of moderating. As always, Jackie. Yes. Um, Gammy is watching. Gammy's my mom, by the way. If anyone doesn't know who Gammy is. Let's see. Pop-up outlets. Interesting. Yeah. If they are easier in laminate, but easier to install maybe. They're not code where I live, so they're not code everywhere. What's with all the quartz hate? I don't hate quartz. There's just some issues. I know in Australia there's a problem. It's being banned, I believe. Bye, Kara. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. There's a problem with it because of the health considerations to fabricators in the plants getting it's like a lung disease because of the silica, and they're trying to ban it in its production in certain places. I haven't read up completely on it. Jackie sent me something a little bit ago that talks a little bit about it on an email, but I have to do a little bit more research. Not quartzite, not the natural stone, but just the fabricated quartz is having an issue. So I know in Australia they're doing something about it. I don't know in North America anywhere if there's any talk of that at all. But I do know that Bretton Stone, who is sort of the innovator or is the innovator of quartz technology, is coming up. It's coming to, yeah. Bretton Stone is trying to produce a biologically friendly form of, I don't know if it's some kind of like fake silica product. I'm not really sure. Um, so that it's safer for workers. It's not um, when it's installed in your home, it's okay. Once it's fabricated, it's the fabrication process that's really a big problem. um, yeah, complete prohibition engineering stone April or August rather this year. Yeah, so there you go. And yeah, in the U.S. there are health objections coming too. So it's just something that's going to be coming, and I think these companies now are starting to kind of scramble to come up with these ways around it to help that for workers. Yeah, lung disease can be fatal. Silicosis, yeah. So the just they're inhaling that fine particle, and it's really really bad for them, and so not good. UK considers silica dust the biggest risk construction workers after asbestos. Wow. Yeah, 600,000 workers in the UK are exposed. So that's a huge deal. I mean, asbestos is really bad. So if this is right next to that, that's really, really bad as well. So something just to consider. The quartz uh, phenomena might be coming to an end. There's my email. And also, if you go to my website, my email's there. But yeah, you can. So let me just tell you, when you sign up for the consultation, you'll get a calendar link, and you can select the time and day. It's usually it's it's during the day, so try to cover the bases so that if you're on the Pacific West Coast or the East Coast, there's times that are reasonable for everybody. Um, so yeah, but you can also email me as well. So feel free to do that at uh, at that email there, and I can help you out that way too. Um, EPA considers sand a toxic substance. Interesting. uh, well, this isn't just the EPA either. This is I don't know. I don't know who decided it in Australia or whoever. So granite is greater than quartz. I don't really know. Like, but yeah, in terms of like the fabrication process, it's not great. Um, in terms of the actual product once it's finished, I don't know. I prefer granite over quartz any day of the week. So thank you, Helen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, my bad. I don't know. I don't know why. My website is if you can go to any of my videos, and there's a description in the bottom. You can be able to connect with me there too. Granite can still have 10 to 15% silica. Um, yeah, the issue is that it's not fabricated. Um, so so once it's cut and polished, I think the production of these granite slabs is a little less dangerous to workers than, unless it falls on you and crushes you or something crazy like that, than the production of quartz. But yeah, here's from Nadir. Limestone, soapstone, travertine, labradorite. Interesting. From Labrador, basalt, bluestone, and marble. I knew I'd heard about yeah, soapstone being much safer, and limestone as well. Soapstone is very popular in kitchens, so thank you for that. And that's why a lot of people are thinking of like porcelain products, because as far as I know, there's no issue with that. So like the dectins and porcelain itself, that don't have silica. There's still a fine dust though. There's still a clay. I don't know if that can be a problem or not. I'm not really sure. But something to think about. These products that we use, there's always, some in the production phase of it, it can be a real problem. And so just something to think about. I don't know if there's a perfect one out there or not. The production process, yeah, needs to be sorted out. Like I said, I know Breton Stone is coming up with some kind of solution for this, apparently, and so that might help that issue. But they won't be able to use silica any longer, and that's going to be good for people who are affected by it for sure. Because you don't, I don't know, if you have a countertop and you know that like its production harmed some worker, that kind of sucks. So I don't know. Corian is 100% silica free and perfect for use in Australia going forward. Good to know. Maybe it's the rise of acrylics in the near future. Corian and those other brands of acrylic surfaces might be the new thing that people are going to be going with. So hard to know. I certainly don't know. I just have old laminate. It's still in my kitchen. I think if I was going to put a stone in, I'd probably still go with a porcelain. I really do love it. Um, but a natural stone, I'd probably do quartzite. So that's my kind of thing. So interesting to video topic. Yeah, other things need to happen in the remodel. Yeah, that's a good idea. More microplastics. Well, yeah, probably. I mean, that's basically what corian is, right? It's acrylic. Who knows what the answer is going to be? Maybe we just need butcher block again, just a stump of wood. Maybe we should be going back to that. I don't know, or maybe that stainless steel is probably the answer. Um, Time will tell. Maybe I'll do a little more research on it. We'll talk about it in a live stream coming up in the near future. How about that? That's what we should do, and we can kind of weigh in on those options. So, if you want to check out my other content, of course, you can do that on my channel. Please go ahead and select any video you like. They're all good. And subscribe if you're not already. I do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button and all the YouTubey things that we tell you to do. But the main thing is just have an awesome week. Plan out your kitchen to be as functional as possible for you. If you want to connect with me, check me out on the interweb and connect with me for a one-on-one consultation. I'd love to chat with you. And we'll see you on the next live stream. And Saturday's video is all about lighting, and it's going to be a good one, I hope. I think it's pretty good. There's a lot of information, so that's always good. All right. God bless. Bye-bye.